A quiet desperation had become his constant companion. It was the whisper in his ear, the weight on his chest, the fog in his brain that stole his potential and his peace. For Michael, a 34-year-old single father and a talented but struggling architect, his mind was his enemy, not his ally. It was a battlefield of broken promises and self-doubt, a place where grand ambitions went to die. His office desk was a monument to his creative paralysis, buried under stacks of half-finished blueprints for projects he would never complete. Every night, he would look at his daughter, Lily, sleeping soundly, and feel a sharp pang of guilt, a fear that he was failing her, that his own internal chaos would one day become her inheritance. He was a man caught in the endless cycle of good intentions. He would wake up determined, telling himself today was the day he would finally get his life together, but within an hour, the old habits would return. He'd check his phone, scroll mindlessly, get lost in a sea of distractions, and the day would slip away from him. The simple, disciplined actions he knew he needed to take felt like monumental tasks, impossible to overcome. He was a prisoner in his own home, in his own head, trapped by the noise and the incessant chatter of his undisciplined mind. It was a lonely existence, living a life that felt far beneath his actual capability, a life overshadowed by the ghost of the man he knew he could be. The turning point was a small, seemingly insignificant moment, yet it hit him like a physical blow. Lily, drawing a picture for school, asked him a question. "Daddy, why don't you ever finish your buildings?" Her words were a mirror, showing him the harsh reality he had been so desperately trying to avoid. The shame was a searing heat in his chest, a direct consequence of his inability to control his own thoughts and focus his own will. That night, sitting alone in the silent house, Michael broke. He put his head in his hands, tears of frustration and failure finally falling. He was tired of the struggle, tired of the excuses, tired of the man he had become. It was in that moment of complete surrender that he found the beginning of his redemption. He started with one simple, almost laughably small habit. He decided that every morning, before he did anything else, he would sit down at his desk with no phone, no distractions, for just 5 minutes. He wouldn't try to work, wouldn't try to force creativity, but just sit with his thoughts. The first day, it felt agonizingly long, his mind screaming at him to get up and do something else, but he held on. He sat in the silence, letting the storm rage, and slowly, a new feeling began to emerge. A quiet sense of control, a tiny victory. He added another small habit a week later. Every evening, he would write down 3 things he was grateful for. Not just things, but specific moments he was present for. Over time, those 5 minutes in the morning turned into 10, then 15, and the noise in his head began to soften, replaced by a quiet, focused clarity. The blueprints on his desk slowly started to get finished, one small, disciplined action at a time. The fear was still there, but now he had a tool to fight it. He had a weapon. He had a disciplined mind. The biggest results weren't the projects he finished, but the person he became, a man who showed up for himself, and most importantly, for his daughter, a man who now finished what he started. It was a powerful lesson learned through small, deliberate, and consistent action, proving that the biggest changes often begin with the most humble steps. The truth is, sometimes the most profound victories aren't found in a grand conquest, but in the quiet, daily act of simply showing up for yourself. The real question is, what small, simple habit are you waiting to start? What would you do with your life if your mind was finally on your side?